Hey everyone, Jonny Skywatcher here to talk about my thoughts on WandaVision's episode 1 and 2. Before I say anything, I may or may not get into spoilers, I never know for sure, but if you are sensitive to that sort of thing, you may or may not want to watch. It's up to you. I'm a big fan of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and it's been a while since our last Marvel movie, Spider-Man Far From Home was the last one, and it's been over a year because of everything going on in the world. So needless to say, I was very excited about WandaVision coming out, and I quite liked it as a sort of a fan of sitcoms in general. I really like what they've been doing with this show, and I know I've seen some complaints about sort of the episodic nature, but come on. For one, I was very happy that it was episodic, because I know I saw a quote somewhere about it being like a 6-hour movie, which quite frankly I'm tired of. I'm tired of like Netflix shows and like these limited run series, especially like 13 episode series being made like one long movie, when really that was the problem with the Netflix shows, is that they tried to make them one long story when they didn't have enough content for like 13 hours of television, or however long. It would be shorter than 13 hours, but still they didn't have enough of a story for that, and that was always the problem. And it never made sense with especially superheroes and like the stories that they're based off, like comic books. That sort of story format makes more sense as a somewhat episodic format that has a continuing story that goes throughout the series, not as just one long story. So that was always a problem with like the Netflix shows Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, and Iron Fist, that they had one interesting villain that they dragged out for so many episodes. Even in the seasons that I really liked, I will acknowledge that was one of the problems that the shows ran into, and that they never really fixed. And it made no sense, especially like a character with Jessica Jones. It made no sense that you couldn't have had 2 or 3 episodes a season that just deals with something different. Or like really it should have been like 2 or 3 episode arcs with like, you can still have the big bad villain for the season, but it doesn't have to be always dealing with that. And so, despite what some people may have complained about the beginning, the first 2 episodes, which, let's face it, we've only seen the first 2 episodes, and I think you're going to see this story evolve as it goes on. Obviously, they start with very small hints, and they're getting a little bit bigger in season 2. I mean, episode 2, you get a little bit bigger hints of stuff going on in the background. And I think it's just a little different, because there's no real explanation at the beginning, right? We're just sort of thrown into this world that, if you've watched the previous Marvel movies, you know who Vision is, you know who Wanda is, and now it's in black and white. It's like it's just a sitcom, and they're married. And there's no real explanation given. But obviously, we're going to get something, and obviously, there's something going on in the background. And I think that might have been part of the reason why they released episodes 1 and 2 together, is that episode 1 has kind of hints at something going on in the background, but it's only really at the end of episode 1 that you definitely get something that hints at something outside the sitcom. But then you get to episode 2, and it definitely does something, at the end with the color change, with the bringing color, that it definitely has something that even if you were barely paying attention, you say, oh, okay, something's definitely changing in the world. And I think that might have been part of the reason why they released the first 2 episodes together. I don't want to just summarize the episode too much, but I do want to talk about some of my thoughts of it. So starting with episode 1, you start off with Vision and Wanda, you have this opening sequence, and and sort of you see them living this life together. And I like the fact that it doesn't try to explain anything to you at first, and you get to meet the neighbor Agnes, who is played by Catherine Hahn. And I've seen speculation about who this character might be, and I definitely do think she is somebody, not just like a figment of Wanda's imagination. I think a lot of people in this town are probably real people that are sort of under her spell, is my guess. I mean, of course, we'll have to see. So I've seen speculation that she's this other witch character that in the comics has been a mentor to Wanda. So, I mean, that's possible. I don't really know anything about the character. But one of my speculation is that if she is that character, that it might be a sort of thing where you have these characters that have become trapped within Wanda's world and within this sitcom world who we're trying to help. So just my speculation is that maybe this witch character was helping Wanda, or when this sort of sitcom thing started happening, she saw it and said, oh, let me go investigate this. And then she got caught into it. Just like the character of Monica Rambeau seems to maybe have gotten caught in the sitcom world as well. In the first episode, you have the plot revolves around this. You have this whole sitcom plot, and it's played very like a very straight sitcom, and that way where you have Vision has to impress his boss, and so he brings them back home, but Wanda didn't know about it, of course, and she thought that because it's their anniversary, and of course neither of them seems to remember what's the anniversary of, which gives it a very weird feeling. You have they don't quite remember exactly what's going on, and that further goes into the feeling that something weird is going on, which is I felt was kind of neat throughout the episode. It was really nice to see Deborah Jo Rupp again as Mrs. Hart. So if you're not familiar with her, she used to be on the 70s show, which years ago I watched, binge through the entire series on Netflix, at least when it was on Netflix. So yeah, it was really nice to see her. And then there was Mr. Hart. This whole choking scene was pretty good. I did miss the hand slam. They did it really well in the trailer. I guess they just edited that. So you had the bang on the table, and then they just used that same sound effect again and again. It was really effective for the trailer. That I was a little disappointed it wasn't actually in the show like that. But it still was a very weird, interesting scene. Obviously, something's going on in the background, or something weird is up from that. And the way Wanda just looks at Vision and suddenly says, "Help him." And the one thing I wanted to talk about from this episode that I want to theorize about is Vision is working at his job is like a computing service sort of thing, and he doesn't seem to know what he actually does or why he does it, and he doesn't really get any answer to that. Now, I think there's probably two levels of this. I think part of the level is just there's a meta joke, and with the sort of the sitcom format that he seems to be working at a job that is never really explained, because I think that's a something that's seen in a lot of sitcoms where you have a character working at a job that's never really explained what they do or why they do it. And then usually in sitcoms, you only see them working at their job like one or two episodes, and then it's never seen again. I think there's also a second level to this where maybe it's possible that if this isn't just an illusion, or the sitcom world isn't just created solely by Wanda, maybe somebody is using Vision like a supercomputer. Maybe it has something to do with that. Maybe they're both trapped in something. I don't know if that's part of it, but that did immediately come to my mind when he's doing like all these computations. So then I immediately had the thoughts like, what if somebody was using Wanda to basically keep not Vision alive, but to use his computing power as part of something. I don't know if that would be it's going to be what's happening at all. I think there's a good chance that isn't it. I think there's a good chance that it's going to be all Wanda, but we'll have to see. And then moving on to the second episode, which had a really great intro from parodying Bewitched, which I thought was great. Obviously had some more moments with like the helicopter. I've seen a lot of speculation about maybe that was a real helicopter that kind of went into the world, and then Wanda's perceiving it as a toy helicopter. But obviously we're getting to some weird stuff here. This episode also was the first to have Monica Rambeau, played by Teyonah Parris. I'm interested to see what happens there, how she fits in. My initial guess is that she has entered this place to investigate it, or she's with the military or whoever, and she's gone into, I mean, from the previews, what we see, there seems to be like some sort of bubble. And then I'm guessing next episode 3, she gets thrown out of it. But we'll have to see. It appears she doesn't really seem to remember anything either. Of course, you had this moment at the end of the episode with this guy who, I think what they're saying is they keep asking who is doing this to you, Wanda. I think this is going to be a big red herring, and that in the episode you keep hearing people, someone trying to ask her over the radio, and I think the guy at the end said it, I don't remember, but asking who is doing this to you. I think that's a big red herring. We're going to find out that it's Wanda doing it to herself. That, people on the outside are thinking that someone must be doing this to Wanda. And I think or for some reason they think that. And my guess right now is that near the end of the series, we're going to find out that no, it's just Wanda doing it to herself, and that she has to come to that own realization in order to stop it. And the question is whether or not she'll be able to face her own trauma and live with reality as it is, rather than getting stuck in this sort of play sitcom life. And the episode 2 ends, of course, with them going from black and white into color, which makes me wonder at which point are they going to go from the 4:3 aspect into widescreen? Are they going to wait until episode 7? Because if you think about it, episode 1 is the 50s with I think like I Love Lucy and the Dick Van Dyke Show, and then episode 2 is Bewitched, which is the 60s, and then I think that would make episode 3, they go into color in the 70s, and then you have the 80s with episode 4. Episode 5 would be the 90s, and then episode 6, maybe 6. By 6, maybe they'll go widescreen. Though I think it would be interesting to see some of these episodes in. I wonder if they would ever make it available in widescreen, because that's the one thing I think might throw some people off more than the color. Really, it's just the fact that it's 4:3, because I think people are just so used to seeing everything in widescreen now. That's weird. It's a little weird to see something in 4:3. But I was going back and watching the trailer too, and it does seem like some of the shots that are from the black and white episodes are just zoomed in. So they may not actually have those in widescreen. Those were my thoughts on episode 1 and episode 2 of WandaVision. Did you enjoy it? Did you watch it? Or are you going to wait until all the episodes out and you can just binge the whole series? I've seen some debate about whether that's a good thing or not. I do like the fact that they're doing weekly episodes. I think that's better for them, because like I've said in the past, if you just released everything at once like Netflix does, especially the case like Stranger Things. Look at Stranger Things season 3. Yeah, sure, season 1 was talked about a lot, but by the time you get season 3, it kind of dropped. It was talked about for a week or two and then completely forgotten. And it just makes more sense, even with like a small amount of episodes, like 8 episodes, 8-9 episodes, or even like some of the Marvel series are going to be just 6 episodes. It makes more sense to me to stretch it out. I mean, look at 6 episodes. That's a month and a half that people are, talking about it. And it's basically over 2 months, because like before the series comes out, and then like there's a little bit of time after the series has wrapped up, and you have so much more speculation and thoughts about it in between, and people talking about the show, rather than kind of just dropping 1 week and then disappearing. If you want to let me know what you thought about the show, let me know in the comments below, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.